Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I'm proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. So I'm trying to show people real evidence, real timelines, the real facts, things that should not be there. If my story wasn't true, all of this stuff should not be there perfectly lined up in which the way I found it. I didn't know about this stuff. I went in searching, and then there it was. Everything right where it should have been, everything in line with the first original thought I had, that is Diana Ross, Michael Jackson's mom. I went to investigate, boom, 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 boom. Everything I found it all. So I'm going to show you just a basic, simple timeline, but you got to understand with Michael Jackson, okay, so Michael Jackson, 50 years old, right? He lived 50 years. So I'm going to show you a basic timeline from his birth to his death, and I'm going to show you how Diana Ross is involved in Michael Jackson's life, what's going on, and I'm going to give you a basic timeline. So I'm going to explain it real quick. So I'm going to show you what was going on. But see now, for me attempting to do that, you people have to just give me a little bit of slack and understand. I'm dealing with so much stuff that I can't show you that quickly. There's much more, but I can't show it to you quickly, so I have to try and put these little things together. Okay, so here we go. So this is Berry Gordy talking about when he first met Smokey Robinson. Okay, this is what I need you to hear here.
Well, the first time I met the Miracles, they were recording, they auditioning for Jackie Wilson's manager. I happened to be the writer, which Jackie Wilson had written To Be Loved and Lonely Teardrops, and Read Petite Brother, and they were turned down, the Miracles were turned down. I happened to be in the office writing some songs, and when they were turned down, I couldn't believe it, because they looked too much like the Platters, because they had a Claudette was in the group. And so I quickly stopped writing and ran out the hallway, and I said, "You guys are great." And Smokey thought I was trying to audition too, so he said, "So what, who are you?" And I said, "My name is Berry Gordy." And he said, "Berry Gordy, you write songs with Jackie Wilson, and you wrote Read Petite, To Be Loved?" And I said, "Yes."
Okay, so first thing here is that, so this here, when this occurs, the really important thing is the date. This occurred in August of 1957. Okay, so yeah, so that's August of 1950. The event of what he's talking about takes place in August of 1957. That's when he meets the band The Miracles, but Smokey Robinson, he's the songwriter. Smokey's the actual one. That's the person who builds Motown. See, Berry Gordy is still, he's writing as a songwriter at that time, and he's in the Brunswick studio. There's no such thing as Motown Records. Not even Tamla, which is like the first part. There's no Tamla Records. Berry Gordy, when he meets Smokey Robinson, Berry Gordy is not on the path to starting his record company. It's only after he meets Smokey Robinson. That's where the whole thing starts. And that's what I'm saying is for, this is the motive, for the whole reason of why everything happened. This is the motive. Now let me show you the second main part about that. So, right at the same time about what that's occurring, this is what Diana Ross is talking about at the same time. Listen to what she's saying.
But who was your first love, though? Yeah, who was that?
You mean, are you talking about Man Love?
Oh, yeah, I should have specified that. I'm sorry.
Smokey Robinson was my first love. I really loved him.
See, they specify Man Love. So this is a real thing. This is not a child thing. Diana Ross is an adult here. She's been married. She's got a lot of kids. Smokey Robinson has been married. He has kids. Why would this woman be referring back to a first love as Smokey Robinson if it was just something that she had had as a childhood crush? If there was no sexual relations going on, she would not bring him up in this situation. It doesn't make any sense unless there was actually something that really happened between them, and it was so important that she feels comfortable enough bringing it up, which disrespects Claudette Robinson and their whole family. And so what is going on here?
People think my life or my career started with Motown, but really it started with Smokey. Smokey lived on Belmont. We lived on the same street. I was very close with his cousin, Sharon Burston. And I used to sleep over. You know, I kids had sleepovers at Sharon's house, and I used to listen to the Miracles sing in the basement. And that's
so right there, Diana Ross admits to sleeping in the same house as Smokey Robinson before the Miracles had made it with Motown. This is before that. She's admitting to being best friends with Smokey's cousin, and she's staying the night at that house, and then in that house also that the Miracles are also practicing there. There is a lot going on here with them.
Before I came to Motown, that was before the Supremes. And to me, I loved him because there was a time where when I first heard his record on the radio and I realized that you might be able to sing and make a record, I mean, it was like major time. So I think maybe first love maybe with Smokey.
Okay, so in that whole video, she's telling you the whole thing that she's there with Smokey Robinson during that whole process of the development of the Miracles developing into the band when they were practicing, and then she's there. So when he meets Berry Gordy, she's right there, okay? She's got opportunity. She's got motive. Like she's saying, when she says, when I first heard his record on the radio, I realized, oh my God, you can actually have a record? That's her motive, okay? All of the stuff tied in. She wanted, once she saw that they were actually making music, but then when she saw him hook up with Berry Gordy, that was the difference, where then she realized, oh, Berry Gordy's real. The stuff that he does is actually on the radio. That's when she realized that this is real. The stuff he's doing is actually real. So I say she had sex with Smokey Robinson at that time. And then because of what happens with the process of the development of Motown, Motown's not developed. So when Berry Gordy finds out the news that his number one guy now that he's starting to work with, Smokey Robinson, now when he finds out that Smokey Robinson has gotten the Diana Ross right in the neighborhood, this little local girl, he's gotten her pregnant. And she's only 14 years old now at this time. Her birthday's on March 26th of 1944, or that's when she was born in 44, March 26th. So in 1958, she had just turned 14 on March 26th. So Smokey Robinson meets Berry Gordy in August of 1957. On March 26th of 1958, when Diana Ross turns 14, she changes schools and goes into that Cass Tech school. But I'm saying that she's pregnant at that time, and that's what forces her into moving towards that way to get in a real career, because she's still trying to figure out. At the first part, see, at the March 26th, when she goes to Cass Tech, that's because she's shown that she's pregnant. So now her father is telling her, you need a career. You're going to need an education. So what does she do? She enrolls in Cass Tech because she's going to pursue a career. She needs an education because she's thinking she's going to be a mother now. And then Smokey Robinson, he also, at that time, he enrolls in an engineering school because they're still going to school now. They think that they're going to be parents. They're both getting schooling. They're not thinking the music thing's going to pan out. They still don't know because there is no Motown. None of that stuff has even developed yet. This is all of, so at that time, it's so easy for to get rid of the kid. Nobody's around. Nobody really understands anything. There's nobody there to know. None of them are famous. There's nothing. So all they had to do was hide Diana for a few months. She's super thin, so I'm sure she barely was showing anyways. You know, by the time she was pregnant, wouldn't have been that hard to cover it up. They just would have had to cover up those last few months, especially because she's so thin, it wouldn't have been showing anyways. So, and then at that point there, they where they do the transfer of the baby. That's a thing that an issue to be discussed later and stuff. But so what I want you to see here is the first part of where Michael Jackson's conceived and born, okay? Don't talk about if he's with the Jacksons. Let's just talk about a simple date. At the time, in reality, in the world, when Michael Jackson's actually conceived, Motown is being developed. Diana Ross is in love with Smokey Robinson, and she's hanging around him and actually staying the night in the house that he's in, because she's also best friends with his cousin Sharon. They live on the same street. They're all right there. And then future, way in the future, she's stating that he's his first love, and that first love can only come at that time because Claudette's in the band The Miracles, and Smokey Robinson marries Claudette in like 1959. So from that period right there, Smokey's married to 1959. So where did this relationship with Diana, when she's talking about her first love, her first relationship with Smokey Robinson, where's the time for that even to occur? So that's the other big part of what I'm saying, is that there was no time for her to develop that kind of a relationship with Smokey Robinson because Smokey was involved with Claudette. So how does she develop such a relationship with Smokey Robinson at such a young age where she feels the need to come and talk about it as a woman now who's been married and has numerous kids? And now she's on Arsenio Hall show that's going to be documented. This is going to be documented. For some reason, she wanted to tell you about that. She wants to tell you about that. Why? She's not a name dropper. You think she just wants to drop the name Smokey Robinson? This girl has been married. This is a beautiful woman who is, people had fondness for her. Many men would have been very fond of her, okay? She's not some girl who has to drop a name to try and be cool. This is Diana Ross, the boss. You know, this girl has no need to be dropping like a Smokey Robinson. I'm saying it's wrong for her to even be talking about that. But when you look at the reality of the situation, what does it do? It puts her with Smokey Robinson at the exact same time when Michael Jackson would have been conceived, at the exact same time that Motown's being developed, at the exact same time that Berry Gordy and Smokey Robinson are building a relationship together. Okay, so this is the beginning. Nobody ever talks about this stuff. This is the real dates and the facts. When you actually look at what they're talking about, look at what it lines up with Michael Jackson, you'll see that everything that you're going to find out with Michael Jackson goes to this. Now, we go from the beginning. This is the birth of Michael Jackson. So now let's jump up to... This would be when Michael Jackson gets signed to Motown. So this is in his book. And he says here, so this is in his book, Moonwalk. This is Michael Jackson's words. He says here, we finally moved to Southern California. We actually lived with Diana and stayed with her for more than a year on a part-time basis. She was wonderful, mothering us and making us feel right at home. She really helped take care of us for at least a year and a half while my parents closed up the Gary house and looked for a house we could all live in here in California. This was an important period in my life because Diana loved art and encouraged me to appreciate it too. She took the time to educate me about it. We'd go out almost every day, just the two of us, okay? We'd go out almost every day, just the two of us. Michael's actually living in her house. Diana's training him. Diana loved art and encouraged, so she's showing Michael, training him in art appreciation. She's educating Michael about it. We'd go out almost every day, just the two of us. So the Jackson parents allowed Diana to take, now if the other kids, if he didn't say that line, just the two of us, okay, then it could have been like understood. But when it's just the two of them, you're telling me that the Jackson parents are going to allow Diana Ross. Now you got to understand, in the true story of the situation, they've kind of just met this woman, right? They've just signed to Motown. They've just moved to California. They're kind of living with her. And now, so they just know this. She's Diana Ross and she's already a star and stuff, right? So they're going to let that woman take their kid. Now, Michael's obviously the talent from the Jackson family. They know if they lose Michael, they lose, that's everything. And then Joe, we got to look at how protective Joe is and how stern of a father figure, right? Is Joseph really, and I don't have to say, is he going to, because it happened. Michael tells you right there, we go out almost every day, just the two of us. And she's, not only are they going out, she's teaching him about the world and stuff like that. Are you seriously think that Joe Jackson ever would have allowed that to occur to his golden child kid, his kid? The kid that he was training all this time, and now this woman's just going to come in, take the kid out, and start training him and telling him about the world, and now Joe's not going to have any influence over Michael? Do you really think that Joseph Jackson ever would have allowed that to happen? But I don't have to say would it happen. It did happen. So you got to ask the question, how does that happen? How is it possible? How is it possible? So they go and they move to LA, they live with Diana Ross, and then not only they live in, we'd go out almost every day, just the two of us, and buy pencils and paint. When we weren't drawing or painting, we'd go to museums. She introduced me to the works of the great artists like Michelangelo and Degas. And that was the start of my lifelong interest in art. Look at how he's talking about Diana Ross. His lifelong interest in art. So I don't have to say, was she influencing? He told you right there. She literally is influencing him on the way in which he perceives the world. His interest in art. We're talking about serious issues here. They would go out together all the time alone. And I keep saying, that's not, first of all, it's not possible. There's no way that Joe would have allowed this to occur. But it did occur. And it occurs perfectly in the timeline with what I'm saying, that when the Jacksons signed to Motown, there's Diana Ross right there, because she's the one telling Berry Gordy, bring him in, the kid's good, let's go, let's get him in, let's have him come on. She's the one pushing Berry Gordy, because at this same time, Diana Ross is actually dating Berry Gordy. She's actually dating Berry Gordy, which just right after that ends up in her first known child. Rhonda Ross Gordy is spawned off of that, where she has a child off of that, which is right at this same time. There's a lot going on here and stuff too. Diana Ross is dating Berry Gordy, but then she gets into the relationship with Silverstein right around beginning of 71. She must have been dating him. So all that's going on right around this time when Michael's living with her, but she's taking Michael out during the day. She's having sex with Berry Gordy at night, then she's having an affair with him, with the Silverstein guy, also at night. All that stuff's going on. So while all that stuff's going on, this is also going on. So Diana Ross, she's a star. So this is Diana Ross on the Merv Griffin show in 1970. Okay, so this is when Michael Jackson's actually living with her at this time. Okay, so when they're saying, Michael's saying that she'd take me out alone and stuff, okay, so he would say pencils and art and stuff. So that's like daytime stuff too. But now this is a TV show. So this is a different kind of thing about why is he here and stuff. And now listen to how she calls Michael her child. So now, at the time when she first gets back into Michael's life, Michael's living with her, she's nurturing him and showing him in the ways of life. And how is she referring to him in public? As my child. None of the other Jacksons are there. Who's the one? It's Michael.
We have one of them in the audience here with us.
Where?
We have Michael Jackson somewhere out there. Is he out there? Where is he? There he is. That's my child.
Hey.
That's Michael.
Look at him sitting with all those old white women.
Don't you know anybody you could get a better seat?
He's being incognito. They've made me work hard because I want to be something. I mean, I am. Michael has always been like a son or a brother or something.
Like a son. Michael is, okay. They make me work hard. Listen to how she talks and look at her mannerisms. It's obvious that's Michael Jackson's mother. But when you actually look at her, I feel sorry for you people that you don't get to see this and actually understand who Michael is. The people that don't. It's like, this would be, if you actually want to know who Michael is, watch this whole show. It's the Merv Griffin show, 1970 with Diana Ross. There's 25 minutes. She performs. Michael's there the whole time watching her. If you want to see how his personality develops, think about him being in the audience and having the experience of watching her perform and how she performs, and you'll see that that's who he is. That's Michael Jackson. But so right here she's saying how they make me work so hard because I want to do so much for Michael. He's like a son to me. Okay, she's just met this kid. How is she speaking in this fashion about this kid that she just met, and he's a kid of a large family? She's not speaking about any of those other kids. None of the other kids are sitting in the audience with them. You know, it's him. Just like I said, the timeline matches perfectly from when the beginning of how she had to get rid of Michael because of the situation, the development of Motown. But then when the Jacksons come back to Motown, there's Diana Ross. The Jacksons move into her house. Michael's literally hanging out with her alone on TV. She first refers to him as my child, then she refers to him as my son. Jesus Christ. And now she's working so hard for him, Everything she does is for him. This is some kid she just freaking met.
To me, and they admire me sort of like, so I try very hard to keep up such an image for them. And when I do a show like this, they usually sneak Michael in. I really didn't know he was going to be here. I heard about it, and I was hoping that he was here because it makes me a little bit stronger because I'm doing it basically for him.
It makes her stronger because I'm doing it basically for him. For him. They sneak him in. I didn't know. Oh, yeah, sure. You know, she's living with them. It's not like Michael's just out there and stuff. No, they're living there. That's why she sneaks him in. Michael's hanging out, you know. But did you see what she just said? I'm doing it for him. She called him my child, my son. I'm doing this for him. Come on. Did you hear what she's saying there? Just exactly about the lost mother. Now, see how the context and the relation of this conversation now makes perfect sense when you understand that Michael's her kid, that he was the love child of Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson. Then Diana Ross came back and was able, Michael had the great talent, brought them back to Motown. Look at how proud of a mother she is. That's why when she goes on TV and stuff, she's like basically screaming, oh, there's my child, that's my son, I do everything for him, because she is the proudest mother in the world of that kid. She is so proud of that kid. Okay, so then that's the middle. We got the birth of Michael. We got the middle when they go to Motown, right? Then you get Michael Jackson dies. And in his will, it states, if any of my children are minors at the time of my death, I nominate my mother, Katherine Jackson, as guardian of the persons and estates of such minor children. If Katherine Jackson fails to survive me or is unable or unwilling to act as a guardian, I nominate Diana Ross as guardian of the persons and estates of such minor children. I subscribe my name to this will. So this is Michael Jackson's will. So in Michael Jackson's will, he gives everything to his kids, his estate. Everything is his kids. He puts his mother, if he died young, you know, like the situation where his kids are still minor children, if that was the case, then he would give everything to his kids with a guardianship to Katherine. Okay, that's totally proper. Of course, that's the way. Katherine did raise him and stuff, and he has to adhere to the name of the Jacksons. He can't destroy the whole thing. But then right after that, the thing comes in where the truth comes in. So who's there at the very end? In his will, who does he put in the position as a guardian over his children, which is also be guardian over his money and everything, is Diana Ross is in that position. Right there. She's in it from the very beginning. I show the whole development of how she should not be talking about being in love with Smokey Robinson. I show all of that stuff, how it all develops, how that gives them all the motive, because it all happened before Motown even it happens. And it all revolves around the birth date of Michael Jackson, is what you'll see, that the birth date of Michael Jackson is what lines up perfectly with everything, just like I perfectly show here. And then, so then Diana Ross, so Michael Jackson had his memorial, and so Michael Jackson doesn't show, Michael Jackson died. He didn't even show up to his own memorial. Oh no, there's death hoax stuff. I don't want to get into there. Okay, so Diana Ross doesn't show up to Michael Jackson's memorial. Okay, so now here, think about the woman who was sitting there saying how she did everything that she does is for that kid, for Michael, right? Wasn't she just stating that at the time? There's Michael, there's my child. He's like a son to me. Like, they know that, like, everything I do for him, okay? So she does so much for him, but when he dies, she can't even show up at his memorial. And now let's listen to the words that she says in the letter, being read by who? Smokey Robinson, of course, Michael's real father.
I'm trying to find closure. I want you to know that even though I am not there at the Staples Center, I am there in my heart. I've decided to pause and be silent. This feels right for me. Michael was a personal love of mine, a treasured part of my world, part of the fabric of my life, in a way that I can't seem to find words to express. Michael wanted me to be there for his children, and I will be there if they ever need me.
Okay, so the last part. Michael wanted me to be there for his children, and I will be if they ever need me. Okay, there's his kids. There's the kids sitting right there in the front row. They brought the kids up. Remember Paris crying, "Oh, Daddy, oh, okay." If they ever need you. Now, Diana, do you think that Michael Jackson's kids could have maybe needed you there? Maybe could have possibly used you to comfort them a little bit? Maybe. You know, you're actually in the will as a guardian, you know, and you just said in your will, I'll be there. If Michael ever needs me to be there for their kids, I will be. But were you the first place where they needed you to be? Were you there? You weren't even there. Now, what stops this woman from... That's what I keep saying. Is like, do you understand the force that had to stop this woman from showing up there? What kind of force? And when she talks about it in her thing, she talks about Michael was part of the fabric of my life in a way that I can't explain. A personal love of mine, personal treasured part of my world, you know. And then she says, I can't find the words to explain. And so, oh, there was just something flying outside. I was looking at it crazy. So, you know, so, yeah, we can't find words to explain.
Be silent.
Oh, that was the thing, the silent. She's decided to pause and be silent. That was the thing I was digging for. Then how she decided to pause and be silent. Why would the need for her to be silent ever be here? Like, what could she have come out? Here's all these people. We're here with Michael Jackson. What could she have possibly have said at that moment? Because she didn't, obviously she didn't come out. She's not saying that she thinks she's a pedophile. I mean, what was she going to do? Start blaming the Jacksons? You let your kid become a drug addict. Well, she's just as responsible there. She's all involved in that too. So she couldn't have said that. What could she have possibly have said that where she had to remain silent? Think about the context that she's actually Michael's mom. Okay? And like how she says, she's trying to deal with it in the beginning. The very first words of what she says here.
I'm trying to find closure.
See, I'm trying to find closure. That's her whole thing. With Diana Ross. She's trying to find closure. See, if Michael Jackson's just a guy and stuff, okay, it happened. She lives with that. She doesn't have to try and find closure. She lives with it. She's dealt with all the stars and stuff that have evolved. But why is this kid where it is so dug into her so deep now where she has to find closure? Do you understand? The closure. She has to find closure to that chapter because it's part of the fabric of her life. You know, she has to pause and be silent because she doesn't know how to talk about this in this situation. How does Diana Ross, being the actual mother of Michael, who abandoned her child, and now he's the first one to die out of all these people and all the stars, all the Jacksons and stuff, who was the first one to die? Michael. And wasn't he clearly, obviously weird? He's claiming to be Peter Pan. Projections of an orphan, a kid that's feeling like an orphan, obviously. That's where you see all of the real things of who Michael Jackson was. I can explain everything. Where the people like the pedophile people, they say Michael's Peter Pan because he's trying to have sex with kids. Come on. What explains that better? That the people say he's a pedophile, or the reality that Diana Ross is his mom? You can see right there at the time when Michael goes to Motown, he's living with Diana Ross, and Diana Ross is taking him out alone. Now, what would that have done to that kid in real life? Now, then Michael had to go back and live with the Jacksons and perform under the guidance of Joe Jackson being his father. Every time they went out in public, Michael had to be like, oh, this is my father, I'm the Jacksons. What do you think that did to the psyche of that man? I don't have to think about what it did because I can look and go see that he ended up thinking he's Peter Pan living in the Neverland Ranch, so messed up and doesn't want to deal with any adults or anybody in the world. The only joy that he gets in his life is from hanging around kids, that he said, fuck it, I don't care if you guys call me a pedophile because it's simply one issue. He was not having sex with those kids. And it's simply like I would revert it to a simple thing. Like I had dogs in my life. I freaking loved on my dog. I would hug my dog. And this was a boy dog, boy and girl dogs too. But let's talk about my boy dog, okay? My boy dog kissed me on the face. I'd kiss him all over. I'd hug him. At night I'd hug him and snuggle with him. Okay, and that's a boy dog, okay? There was no sexual thought there, okay? That's exactly the same thing that would have occurred with Michael Jackson and these kids. Those kids would have given him joy, like same kind of joy that I could have got from my dog. I would have been much more sexual with my dog, for sure, than Michael ever would have been with these kids, okay? That's how it goes. He was not sexual with them. I'm not having sex with my dog. I mean, come on. Are you really going to look and see the relationship that I had with my dog and you're going to see sex? Are you kidding me? That's what you guys are doing, the people that look at Michael. They're seeing a relationship that's basically like an adult man and a dog. It's exactly the same. That's how Michael sees those kids. He's treating them like basically he's getting a relationship like a dog. But they're better than dogs because they can speak and you can have a little bit of a conversation that you get more out of a human if you can get it. But he won't go with the adults because that was just ridiculous. But he liked having it with the kids. And that's what he did. I'm not going to blame the guy who was dealing with all the pains and all the heartaches of what he was actually doing, that he had to fulfill the needs of what he did. But he's not having sex with the kids. Was he hugging on him and rubbing on him a little bit too much like I would with my dog? Yeah, for it being a kid, yeah, technically there is an issue with that. But he's not having sex with them, so overall issue is like it's not really an issue. Anybody want to stand up and deal with anything I'm freaking dealing with? Freaking, you're welcome to it. But I'm sick of every fake people out here. People against MJ are fake. People for MJs are fake. I don't know who out here is real. I can't find anybody real or smart enough to even be able to deal with any kind of simple basic things. I just showed you the whole evolution of why Michael Jackson, the whole process of how he started, where he ended up, and how it ended up killing him. I can do it as fast as I can. It takes time to explain this shit. I can go over and over. You want to go year by year by year? That's what the fuck I will do. I'll explain everything. There's nothing that you can't put in front of me that I can't fucking explain. Fucking wake up, you stupid motherfuckers. I am sick of you fake fans. I am so disgusted with you fake Michael Jackson fans. Every fucking one of you trying to attack me. You attack me, you're attacking Michael Jackson. Fuck you.